shape in front of me. Wake up and see what your life has become. The times are changing. Wake up and see. Useless to say. Remember the day.
Okay, this was my first out-of-body experience that I remember. I'm sure I had others, but I only remember from 1979 forward. I had some other experiences at age 5, but I haven't talked about those yet. But this was my first out-of-body experience that I remember. And basically, I can't remember what time in the morning, but so as far as I remember, like, well, I don't know how the aliens threw me in the out-of-body experience. I can't remember that part, you know, or if they just bam placed me in it, because sometimes they could just bam place you in the out-of-body experience or virtual reality experience, and sometimes they take you out of body in many, many ways, and you'll have many, many sensations, but I can talk about that later. But yeah, so basically, and they were giving me out-of-body experiences like this 2004, 5, and 6, and 2003, where they would just stick me in nature, and I would just be like by myself, like walking around. But that time I would feel myself shooting out of body, and I would float through the black galaxy and anticipate when I was going to land, because I knew I was going to land in another dimension. It would take a few seconds. But anyway, so this was kind of similar in 1979, because they threw me in nature. And I really thought I was, you know, in the heaven realm. Like, I mean, that's what I thought. Like, okay, so they placed me in a canoe or a boat, and I was heading north. These people are heading south, but this is perfect picture, perfect. Except I was heading north, and I was by myself. And I can't really remember if I was paddling or not. I want to say I was. But I was paddling very, very, very slowly. And I was just like, wow. Like, I mean, it was pure freaking bliss. And I was by myself, and it was peaceful. I didn't see anybody around or any other boats. But, so I don't know what you call this, a lake or a stream inside of like a carved mountain or something. You know, okay, when they placed me in, so when they placed me in the boat, and I was, you know, just la 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 la, paddling or whatever in the river, maybe it was a river, I don't know. To my left and to my right, you know, there were walls, like rock or whatever. So yeah, I guess, see, I don't know. I mean, I know I've seen that type of thing in movies and stuff, but yeah, I guess that's what it is. Carved, like a river or stream carved inside of a mountain. I don't know, but there was walls. It wasn't quite this wide. Well, like this river looks wider, but the little stream or river or whatever I was in, it seemed more narrow, a little more narrow than this, but to my left and to my right was walls. Basically, I guess, you know, not really walls, but it would have been like mountain walls. And like I said, I know I've seen that in movies before, but I mean, yeah, you know, there wasn't any, you know, I was enclosed in inside this mountain or whatever. When I did that one interview with that one guy, he's the one that helped me think of, oh, you mean like inside of a carved mountain? And I was like, yeah. So anyway, that's exactly the way it was. And I was just like, la 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 la, and it was just pure freaking bliss. And I literally thought I was in the heaven realm. Now, when I woke up and everything, like I say, I knew, I thought I was in the heaven realm, when I was in that experience. And I actually, knew that it was an out-of-body experience. I knew that I was out of body. I knew that that was not a dream. I knew that. But I didn't know it was called out-of-body experience. But I totally knew, even though I was only age 7 then, but I totally knew that I was out of body, and I totally knew that it was not a dream after I woke up and everything. I just didn't know it was called out-of-body experience. I don't think I heard of that. I don't think I really heard of that term or whatever till I was like, I don't know, 24 or 25 or something like that. Or that's when, I'm sure I heard of it before then, but that was when I realized that I was having some out-of-body experiences in that apartment when I was, I was like 21 then. And then that's when, as far as I remember, that's when I realized, oh, okay, so that's called an out-of-body experience. You know what I'm saying? I've heard of the term before, but I don't know, it's like I didn't really consider it an out-of-body experience until I started thinking about it. It was like, yeah, I guess I was out of body, crawling painfully on the freaking floor. I haven't talked about that experience yet. But yeah, so I did not know this was called out-of-body experience, but I knew I was out of body. I knew that it was not a dream. Even when I was in the experience, I knew that it was not a dream. And even after I woke up, I knew it was not a dream. I knew I was out of body. And I knew that, I thought at least I was in the heaven realm. Just like all those experiences back in 2003, 4, 5, and 6, I kept going out of body like they somehow programmed my brain to do that. I was going out of body almost every freaking day in the afternoon, anywhere between 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And, but this out of body experience, this river or whatever, stream through the mountains, they did it, the aliens didn't tell me what, where I was at, like town or whatever. They could have if they wanted to, or if they did, I don't remember that part, but as far as I remember, they didn't tell me that, oh, you're in this certain town or whatever. But, I remember so many, like, lucid dreams that are, some of those are out-of-body experiences. The atmosphere just feels different. But I remember so many that are just coming back to me, just bam, 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 bam. Not coming back to me, I just never forgot them, but I just didn't know the aliens were giving them to me. Little bits and pieces of, all these towns and shit they would put me in. And I totally felt like I was in another dimension. Sometimes I'd be with my sister, my mom at nighttime, just walking through a little town, going and sitting down to eat, and it was just like so freaking fun. I remember all these experiences. But anyway, but this experience, in 1979, it still could have been virtual reality by the aliens. It may not have been that I was really in another dimension, or the heaven realm, it could have just been a virtual reality experience, but maybe they do, I don't know, maybe they have the ability. Well, they're in another dimension anyway, so that's kind of overlaying this dimension, so I guess they probably have the ability to take you to the heaven realm, or, it's all infinity, all the dimensions or whatever. So anyway, so who knows if it's, like, even when you die, maybe you go to some kind of, I don't know, maybe it's not really the heaven realm. Maybe you go to virtual reality dimension where it's pure bliss created by the aliens. Nobody knows that. If they created us, they probably create where you die or whatever, or where you go. Like, I don't know. But anyway, this experience was totally fun, and I totally remember it like the back of my hand or whatever. Yeah, I wish there would be more like out-of-body experiences or virtual reality experiences come back to me before then. But actually, around the exact same time, 1979, there is a virtual reality experience. For some reason, I'm calling that experience more virtual reality, even though I was still out of body. I don't know why, but it's because they did a virtual reality and stuck me in the family room, and it was slightly sexual, but it was like age appropriate. I totally remember that, and that was 1979, but that was more like my first virtual reality experience that the aliens created for me that I totally remember. With me and a student, he was a classmate. But I'm calling that more virtual reality, even though it's still totally like 3D. But the difference is that was like no different than being in 3D. And these out-of-body experiences, a lot of times you do totally feel like you're in another dimension and all that. But anyway, yeah, so I do remember that other virtual reality experience that I had in 1979 as well. I was about seven or 8. And it was about like getting married. I mean, I had the thoughts of like getting married someday and blah, 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 blah. I totally remember all that. Well, thanks for listening.